Good evening and thank you for joining us. It is with a great deal of sadness that we announce the death of Tom Holden. Tom passed away at Northside Hospital last night around 7 o'clock. As most of you know, Tom has been off work for a couple of months now. During that time, he has been in and out of the hospital as he fought off one problem after another. It's very difficult to describe the actual feeling that everyone has today here at WKBN. Tom was our leader, our rock, and more importantly, our friend. His longtime co-anchor, Gina Marinelli, is the best person to bring you this tribute to Tom Holden.
When Tom Holden first walked through the doors of WKBN in late March of 1972, it was to be a street reporter.
This is Tom Holden, WKBN News.
I have never regretted a single moment because this has been a wonderful 40-some-year career for me when you count the 31 years here, right. The 8 at BBW and a year at HOT.
His background had been in radio, an experience Tom always felt was invaluable in this new world of television news.
Back in our day, every radio station in this town and every other town across the country had their own news department. Talking radio stations now, not television, radio. And so for a fellow like you or me starting out in broadcasting, we had a wonderful opportunity to work several years in radio so that we could hone our writing and reading skills before making the transition to television, and it made it much easier.
By 1974, Tom was on the anchor desk, a position he held for over 30 years.
Good evening. Youngstown police uncovered a possible stolen car parts operation.
Through the tumultuous times of the steel mill closings, the scandals, the natural disasters, on days when news was slow, and on days when we couldn't fit everything in, Tom was the solid voice of professionalism that kept us all firmly on course.
On crazy days, it was always a relief when Tom clocked in, because you knew you were going to be okay. Hootie was here.
We estimate Tom anchored more than 15,000 newscasts, raising an entire generation of Valley news watchers on his no-nonsense brand of journalism. In the newsroom, a generation of co-workers fell victim to his full-of-nonsense mischief.
Tom had names for everybody, and my name was Janny Poo. I have no idea where it came from, and then it was shortened to Pooh, and everyone called me Pooh. It's the only nickname that I ever had, and I really like it.
People in the newsroom know that Holden has a nickname, and Holden has a nickname for everybody else.
What you see is what you get with Hootie, as we all called him in the newsroom.
He was always ready to throw me off track any time he could, and so I always had to try to stay one step ahead of him.
Just last April, Tom began easing toward retirement, handing over his 6 and 11 p.m. newscasts to ROBB SCHMIDT. We had hoped to enjoy several more years of Tom anchoring the noon and the 5 o'clock newscasts, but apparently the good Lord needed him more. Hootie, you could never imagine how much you will be missed. For 27 First News, I'm Gina Marinelli.
Calling hours for Tom have been set. They will be Tuesday from 2 p.m. until 8 p.m. at Rossi Brothers Funeral Home on South Avenue in Boardman. Funeral services will begin Wednesday morning at 8:30 at the funeral home, followed by Mass at 9:30 a.m. Wednesday morning at Our Lady of Mount Carmel Church in Youngstown. Reaction from both co-workers and the community has been swift, heartfelt, and overwhelming.
It seems everyone here in the Valley has their own personal memories of Tom. Jim Svetkovic has that.
You were learning about the earth, huh?
No matter how you knew Tom Holden or for how long, he was a man you could not forget. Whether you were a longtime viewer or an important local leader, Tom left quite an impression on everyone.
I remember at Isley's stopping for coffee and seeing Tom Holden sitting there reading the newspaper and paying attention to what was happening locally. People always felt that he was a celebrity that they could approach, that they knew, and that they respected.
As Tom presented the stories, whether they were the government stories or they were lighthearted stories, you could see the story through his eyes. And as an elected official, if Tom Holden ever called the office, irregardless of what you were doing, how important the meeting was, you say, just 1 minute, I'm taking a call from Tom Holden.
I particularly remember when traffic shouted an expletive live as we were taking a live feed from outside of the courthouse in Cleveland. And the grace with which Tom handled that, and the respect that he had, not just even for Trafficant in his worst moment, but also for the dignity that our community has.
I'm going to miss him myself in a way that's sort of politically a historical kind of a thing, but just because he was in my living room every night.
He was a media icon here, and God knows how many reporters he has trained. And I think the man had the utmost integrity. He was extremely objective and fair, and he'll be sorely missed. I'll miss him.
Even Tom's local media competition had nothing but the highest respect for him, both professionally and personally.
Getting to know him and working with him throughout the years, I was never disappointed. He was a man with integrity, a no-nonsense journalist, a no-nonsense man.
Individuals really kind of breaking out and becoming legendary, that's really tough to do, and he did that here, no question about it. Will there be another guy that hits the Youngstown area as hard as an individual? That's tough. I wouldn't bet on it.
But perhaps we here at WKBN are the luckiest of all. Lucky to not only call Tom our coworker, but also a dear friend.
I'm going to miss Tom. I'll miss Tom a lot. It's going to be one of those days when you walk in the newsroom and you don't see Tom come in. I think that it's going to take a long time to get over that.
KBN tried to keep people for a long time. And I think that it paid off for Tom, paid off for the station, paid off for the market. But if Tom had not been a good anchor, it wouldn't have worked.
He was from here. People who watched him went to school with him, and they lived near him. They saw him out for dinner, or they saw him at the golf course. And when you're born and raised here, it's much different than when you come here. And it's going to be very hard for anybody to reach the level of success that Tom did.
He was the consummate professional and a first-class broadcast journalist and all the other stuff that goes with that. But the bottom line was he's just a nice guy.
The fact that he bore himself with that kind of dignity is a lesson that maybe a lot of young news people should remember. We're going to miss having him up there, and I really, really wish just one more time he'd sit down and tell me the news.